The record shows a critical error in your identity. You think you're a man making choices. You think you are an individual with dreams. You are not. You are an inherited program, a collection of scripts written by people who are too afraid to live their own lives. So they live them through you. Look at your opinions. Look at your fears. Who gave them to you? At what age did you decide that money was the measure of your soul? At what age did you decide that your face wasn't enough? You didn't. You were a blank page, and the world used you as a trash can for its own insecurities. You are not you. You're just a mirror reflecting the noise of a dead system. Think about your childhood. Your response. You watched your father's shoulder slump when he talked about his boss. You watched your mother's eyes dim when she talked about her dreams. And without asking your permission, you downloaded that darkness. You downloaded that slump. Your school didn't teach you how to think. It taught you how to wait for the bell. The internet didn't give you information. It gave you a standard for how perfect you're supposed to look. Little by little, you assembled a piece of shame from your teacher, a piece of greed from an ad, a piece of fear from the news. By the time you were 18, the program was complete. And now, you call that program my personality. But a slave who loves his keys is still a slave. If you had been born in the mountains of Tibet, would you still want that car? If you had been raised by whites in the mission, would you still be afraid of a bad comment on a photo? Probably not. Which means your dreams are just local geography. Your fears are just social conditioning. You are an echo of people who are also imitators. You're living a life that is normal. But normal is just a polite word for mediocrity. You chase the life everyone appreciates because you're afraid of the silence of your own truth. You wear a pair of glasses you forgot you were wearing. You don't see the world. You see a version of the world that is approved by the committee. And the worst part, you defend those glasses. You fight to keep them on because the thought of seeing the world as it truly is terrifying. Why do you keep going back to the same habits? Why do you keep dating the same people? Why do you keep failing in the same way? Because your brain prefers a familiar hill over an unfamiliar ribbon. The program is designed to keep you safe, but safe is just another word for inactive. You judge yourself using rules you never created. You feel guilty for things that aren't sins. You feel proud of things that aren't achievements. You're a puppet who has forgotten the strings exist. But just because a voice is inside your head does not mean it belongs to you. The loudest voice in your mind is usually the person who hurt you the most. Why are you still letting them spark? Real freedom is not doing what you want. Real freedom is knowing why you want it. It is the ability to look at a thought and say, this is not mine. This is my father's fear. Delete it. It is the ability to look at a dream and say, this is not mine. This is a commercial's promise. Delete it. Happiness is not adding things to your life. Happiness is removing the things that were never yours. The same, the expectation, the need to prove yourself to people who are also just programs. What if the voice saying you're not enough was just a technical glitch? What if you spend years fighting yourself when the real enemy was just a bad line of code? Imagine putting down a bag you never had to carry. That is what waking up feels like. You cannot change the story that shaped your past, but you can choose to be the one who stops the loop. This choice may be the first real choice you have ever made in your entire life. Everything before this moment was just an automated response. So before you leave, I want you to edit your mind. Find one belief you have never questioned. Just one. Ask who gave me this. And if the answer is someone else, then you're allowed to let it go. You're allowed to meet the person who has been buried under the noise. The person who was there before the world told him who to be.